Hi, I just wanted to send you some information about the reports that I sent you via email. I'm also going to have a copy of them put in your mailbox. And I wanted to give you an opportunity to understand what all of this meant. So, bear with me here for a second. I just picked Julie Yaling's class to use as an example. If you're looking at your score sheet, you can kind of follow along with what I pulled up for Julie's to give you some information. The first one that I'm looking at here is Julie Yaling's report for math. And if you look at this summary box, you can see where my cursor is. I'm just going to explain a couple things that are on this form that will help you with your summary sheet. Things that I thought that were important was the mean RIT score, which on Julie's it says 173. That is the average score for this class. The median RIT score, 173, is the median or middle score for this class. The other important thing you may want to know about this score sheet is the standard deviation, which is 11.3. What that means is the variability within this group or the class that you tested. What that really means is the larger that number is, the wider the scores. The smaller that number is, the closer the scores are together. So if you notice your scores are wide, it means you have a great deal of students that are high and low in the class. So that might be something for you to look at as you compare maybe grade levels to see who has a highly concentrated class or a class with a wide variety of levels. The other interesting note that you should take note of here is the norm grade level mean, the RIT score that's listed here at 176.2. That would be the norm for second graders in math across the nation. So you can kind of see where your class falls in the norm. And then on this sheet it also gives you the low average, average high, and high average. If you look at how many are low and how many are in the middle at risk, and average, your mid-high, and then your exceeds. So that information would be important for you to know. The other thing that is also included in your report for math is this sheet. So each of you have one of those. We had mentioned about the RIT score. If you notice where your RIT score is here down the center, it's going to give you a standard deviation of 3 points in addition or in subtraction, above and below. I want you to also notice this percentile. This is the percentage of students that are equal to or exceed to second graders. And I included in your paperwork and also on this slide a bell curve so you can plug your numbers in. So for instance, if you want to look at one student, let's look at let's say Keegan Buzet. He scored a 3, so he's on the bell curve at a 3. I'm going to move to that slide. If you look at, here's the bell curve, here's your middle of the road kids in the center. Keegan was down here in the 3%. So he is on this part of the bell. If you're familiar with that, I'm sure you are, you can start plugging those in. You're going to look at the percentile down here where it says percentile rating. You can plug your numbers in along this line according to how your students scored, and then you can see where they would fall on the bell curve. Okay? So if you look at another student that scored in math, you can see that, let's say, Abigail Mandak was at a 53 or 50. Let me look again at her sheet. 50. It looks like 59 on my sheet. You can plug her in the 59th percentile, would put her right smack in the middle there. So the Stay 9 and the other measurement tools on here may not be as helpful, but if you plug it in the percentile rating, the bottom, then you can help you see where they would fall on the percentage ratings. So that tool might be helpful for you. Okay. They also, on this form, they have the test duration that tells you how long they were actively involved in the test. And then these columns at the end of this report that refer to A, B, and C, I didn't clip the D column, but you can fill it in the blanks. They correlate to the goal performance for each of the skills that were on that particular test. So in this case, these are the scores that each student scored for A, which is operations and algebraic thinking, numbers and operations, measurement and data, and on this form you don't see column D, which is geometry, but then it gives you a breakdown of what made up the initial RIT score, so they give you some ideas. Those are some preliminary results for math. If you look at Julie's scores, then the same thing would be for reading. This is her reading scores. You can look here at the scores for the mean RIT. You notice the median and then the national norm level. They're all separated out. That might mean a little bit more information for you. On Friday when we get additional training, I am going to ask the one thing I noticed different between her reading scores and her math scores are the total number of students that had valid growth test scores. In math, she had 24. In reading, she has 19. So I'm going to ask that question of why there's a difference if all the students were tested. So as you look through your preliminary results, write down some questions that I can ask to the person that we're going to be getting our training from. For the reading information, you're going to see that it's very similar to the math, with the an exception of a few other pieces of additional data. One thing that you're going to notice is that the same grade, test date, RIT, percentile, but on the reading test, they're going to give you a Lexile range. They also give you test duration, and then they're going to give you the goal performances in columns A, B, and C. The difference here is this Lexile. That will be helpful for you to appropriately put them in reading groups and help you possibly make groups within your room, but also with other classes of kids who might need to be pulled out. Not only just your low ones, but also your high ones. So if you notice that some of her students, majority of her students, are at the beginning reader, which is pre-Lexile. I also thought it was interesting as I'm looking down here how many students did what Mr. Merritt had referred to as the click-through method of testing. Not all of them used their 60 minutes. So that might be something that is reflected upon whether or not they were successful. Okay? Hopefully this is helpful to you to start looking at this, and then it will generate some questions. Hopefully you have enough time to take a look at it and use this information to get you started looking at the data before we have our instruction tomorrow, and be better prepared to start some dialogue about the results that you have. I'm not saying I know everything, but this is what I've gained so far from the manual that was given to me. Okay? Let me know if you have any questions.